Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Pia, my pronouns are she, her, and I have a returning guest today from Japan. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Inger. I'm from a band called The Number Zero.
Yes, I traveled to Japan, I think it's already 7 years ago.
It's a while ago, yeah.
Yes, and we met in person. That was a very cool experience to also talk to you about your new band. And now you have I think it's the second album out now with the Heartbreak DLC.
Yeah, it's the first full album actually, but we have a mini album and an EP. So
yes, the first one was actually called Zero Plus, and then you had the mini album that I found was really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, In a Dream and a Nightmare.
Yes, and I also like the new output because you said when we talked before that it's not actually metal.
It's a lot of things. There's some heavy things and some not very heavy at all. So
yeah, maybe you can explain also where the inspiration comes from, because you have so many elements, like also harsh vocals and heavy music, heavy guitars, but also electronic stuff and everything. It's a very cool mixture.
Thank you. So one thing that, because all of our band members like a lot of different things, but the one thing that we all like is new metal. So I hope that doesn't turn people off, but
no.
Good. We do like heavy stuff, but we also like catchy melodies. Because I really like electric callboys. I mean, don't hate me. So that's where the electronic stuff came from. Also, I don't know if you know, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is like a huge thing in Japan. They're still pretty big. So we, just take some inspiration from some of that. And then there's some like just very balladsy type stuff as well. So I don't know. We all like a lot of things. So it's a fine mix.
The reason why I wanted to talk to you is, for those who listen to this podcast for a while, they might know we talked about bimbocore in the first place. So there is this this artist from the US, I think. She's called Scene Queen, and she described her music as bimbocore, and also putting her finger on stuff that is not going pretty well in the music scene. Like, she made this, I don't want to say joke, but she had this 18 plus lyrics where she said, "Get the children off the bus, no one here is 18 plus," referring to the people taking their power to do things they shouldn't do. In present times, especially in Germany, we had a very big case where that would also fit the allegations. And while we were talking about that, we also, about baby metal, they also did a collab with Electric Callboy. So they became famous here in Europe again. They have been famous when they started, but now that's another push for them. And we were also kind of asking ourselves, or we kind of compared Scene Queen and baby metal, because both have special stage clothes. Baby metal, they have this schoolgirl vibe. And as far as I remember, they were casted back then. And our conclusion was that Scene Queen, she's also in her 30s, I think. So maybe she has more to say, and she is more confident with herself and everything. So she does that because she really wants that. And we were asking ourselves, how is that with baby metal or also with other bands from Japan? Because we see here in Europe and also South America, a lot is also the schoolgirls, but also very sexy dresses, or what?
Yeah.
What is also kind of fetishized. That's what I wanted to ask you, because we only have this view from outside Japan and you have more inside views.
So baby metal, they're actually adults. Like, they're not children. They're just dressed up as kind of...
Yeah, but when they started, they were like 16 and 14, I think.
They might have been, yeah. Because the thing with idol culture is they do start very early, and it's very on purpose. They do try to make them look like little girls the entire way.
Yeah.
So the weird thing for me is, when I was younger, before I came to Japan and everything, idol culture was seen as like, oh, that's weird. And then at some point, I don't know if you heard about the Cool Japan campaign. It's one of like tourist campaigns that Japan had before COVID and everything. I think they used AKB48, a huge idol group in Japan. It's like idol syndicate, basically. I think they used them and somehow convinced everybody that it's not weird.
Okay.
I don't know how they did that. I don't want to bash anyone for what they like. People like what they like. It's fine, I like a lot of weird shit that people think is weird or cringe or stuff also. It's fine to like what you like. But yeah, it is all of those things. It is a little bit fetishized. It's supposed to look like very young girls, and sometimes it is very, very young girls. And also there are, I guess people call them idol bands, because baby metal is not a band, it's a group. It's an idol group.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fine. I'm not saying that you have to be this or you have to be that. And I'm definitely never going to be like, this is real metal and this is not real metal. Like, I don't care about genres at all. I like a lot of weird things. But I think one of the big misconceptions overseas is that baby metal is 3 young girls who loved metal and got together and made a band. It's not that. It is a group that has been put together by producers, even the band also, because, you know, they do have like famous musicians from other things that have been put together with 3 girls that have been picked from an audition. It's like a group that's put together, whether that's bad or good, like I'm not saying, but
maybe you can tell us a bit more about how this whole idol thing works, because we also have casting shows here in Germany, and then there are bands where they are just the vocalists and they have musicians who come on tour with them, the session musicians. It's more in Japan. You have a lot of idol groups, right?
The idol industry is huge and it is very popular and it's having a huge surge right now. It comes in waves, but it's one type of music that is never without fans because they have a built-in system for how they sell. And obviously, like, baby metal isn't exactly like AKB48, which is like one of the really very biggest ones. Literally 48 girls in a group together, traveling around. And they also get switched out because they age out at one point. So they like graduate. Some of them become solo artists and some of them become other things. Some of them just stop doing anything public. A lot of them become porn stars and a lot of them become DJs. And a lot of them becomes porn stars / DJs because for some reason that's a thing that people, I don't know, do both of.
Yeah, okay.
It is a company that decides we want to do a group with this concept and then they put out auditions and stuff. Obviously, I've never done an idol audition. I'm not an idol and I would never be picked to be an idol. I don't think there's not a lot of foreigners. There are a few foreigners who do idol stuff, but not a lot of them. So definitely not anybody my age because I'm not 14. So yeah.
And is it on TV?
Oh, no. Because like not all idol groups are famous. There's 100 millions of them. This is just one way to do music here. Some people do a band. Some people try to become idols. There was a TV show a while back. I remember during one of the periods when idol culture was really becoming popular again after not having been popular for a while. There was a TV show where it picked up a bunch of people, idol school, kind of, who want to train to become idols, I guess. The thing is, it's just reality TV because a lot of the people who were on there, they would never be picked to be idols in the end. First of all, a lot of them were way too old. Producers would have picked them basically because they want to start you as young as possible because like girls have an expiry date, especially when it comes to that kind of music or whatever you call it. This seems very unfair because these people are not going to be picked to be idols by any normal, I don't know, company in the end. It's like America's Next Top Model. You're not going to actually become a model in the end, you know. But no, it's not TV shows. It's just an industry.
Yeah, okay.
And like the thing is also, most idols, they're not just musicians. You have to also be a model and you have to also be an actor. And you also have to go on a bunch of variety shows and stuff. They have to do a lot of different things. Being an idol is not just like being a singer.
Yeah. Okay, I see. That was also something that we were asking ourselves because also if I compare that to Scene Queen, it seems like she does what she wants. And if I think about me when I was 14, then if some managers from a company would have told me, you now have to do this and that, and then the whole thing works, then I would have probably done what they told me. So what is your impression? Do they have a lot to say in what they are doing, or is it just the company telling them what to do?
It does obviously depend on the group because there are a lot of independent idol group, but also a lot of those, most of the time, it's not a group of girls or boys. Like getting together, deciding to do this, there's somebody else who is kind of directing most of the time, not all the time. I do know some groups who are 3 or 4 people and they just, you know, they make up the dances themselves and they do the stuff. I really see what you mean because I also think a lot about like, what is the difference, for example, between, well, now it's a bad example, but like, for example, Britney Spears and an idol group. And it turns out, you know, she's the same. So there's that. There is a difference between adults, especially presenting themselves as an adult. And like when you present yourself wearing something sexy on stage, like I love In This Moment, for example, I think that's That's awesome. I love the way she dresses and stuff. But it's very different presenting yourself as an adult and presenting yourself as, But also, I'm a huge fan of like wearing a super cute dress on stage. That's completely fine. It's like the infantilization type things that makes it all a little bit like,
yeah, it's always a difference if you choose to do that by yourself and if you present yourself the way you want, or if someone else tells you to do that for getting famous or for people spend more money on your merchandise.
Because it's all about selling. That's the thing with idol culture. It's a system made to sell things, basically. Again, if you like it, it's fine. I'm not going to say that you're terrible for liking music just because it's there to sell merch, because we all need to sell merch or else we can't do the band. So we all need money to do things.
True. And it's also, I think it can also be kind of entertainment, because how I understand that, what I know from Germany and also from when you say Britney Spears could also be seen as an idol, then there is also a lot of rumors all the time, and you have special magazines only covering stories about them. And I think it's also kind of escapism from what's going on in the world right now, because everything is going to shit right now, and it's completely fine if you found something with that where you say, okay, I can just turn my brain off and consume this or whatever.
Exactly. I love an entertaining show. I love it when there's dancing and stuff. I can't watch idol stuff because I just find it so cringy. But I love a pop show, for example, like Lady Gaga, Britney Spears show. I'd often rather watch that than like filming of a metal show if all they do is like
sitting there.
It's not choreographed or anything,
Yeah.
I mean, being at a show in real life is completely different, obviously. Just like watching a video or something, I'd rather watch something choreographed and has a bunch of dances and fun stuff. I love entertainment like that.
Yeah, I see. What do you think is important for people outside Japan to know about idol culture? Because as I said, we only have an imagination of how it is. But of course, we have this language barrier and also maybe a culture barrier. So
I do think it's important to know that it is a company and it is an industry rather than most of the time individuals like getting together deciding to do music. A lot of the times, most of the time, I would say the actual performers don't necessarily have very much say in what any of their product are going to be. So be that the music or the outfits, a lot of the times they have like a character that's made for each of them that they play. Again, it's not necessarily bad or good. That's what it is. Specifically for baby metal, I think people thinking that it is a band of 3 girls who got together to do a band. Not that it necessarily matters, but it really isn't that. It's a production team that's been put together by people. So because of baby metal, especially, like rock idol trend is huge in Japan right now. And it is really pushing out a lot of bands, especially like after COVID. The live houses and stuff, they're doing really badly. They need to make money. So they're going to take in the stuff that makes the most money, which is obviously this idol industry, because it has kind of like a built-in money machine. It's like Visual K, to be completely honest. Visual K is also like a system that is made to hook in a certain type of people and make money off them. And again, I like a lot of Visual K, so I'm not going to be like, oh, you're a bad person if you're a fan. But it is really eating at the industry for bands right now. As an agenda for me, kind of, which is, I'm not sure I should be talking about this. So baby metal like does a lot of like collaborations with a lot of overseas artists, right? Which is fine and good. I'm not going to say that they're bad. I like Electric Callboy and they did, and it was not a surprise at all. But I kind of get the feeling from some of old school artists that they feel like they're helping women in metal by doing a collaboration with baby metal and promoting it. And they are not. I think like Tom Morello did a thing with baby metal. Kind of hard to see because baby metal is literally the machine. Somebody from Rage Against the Machine doing a thing with baby metal is like, baby metal is literally the machine. A money-making machine within the music industry. So it's not helping grassroots metal bands in any way. It's the biggest, most popular pop culture in Japan right now. And it has been for a while. Not there is anything wrong with that. It's completely fine to like something that's like big and huge and popular, but like it's not promoting women in metal. I'm sorry, it really isn't. And also a lot of, again, like I'm not going to say what's metal and what's not metal. A lot of baby metal songs are idol songs. The metal parts are, I like a lot of really heavy stuff. And then personally, I'm not a big fan of J-pop. I don't like a lot of J-pop. So the parts that are very J-pop gets very cringy for me. But I do like some of their songs. Like I'm not going to say, I don't know. I think it's interesting that it got so popular. But I also feel like this whole concept of Japanese schoolgirls doing something that you don't think Japanese schoolgirls are gonna do is getting very, very old. Also, they're not Japanese schoolgirls.
Yeah, exactly. And
they're really not.
yes. I think what Electric Callboy did before with Conquer and Divide, that did something to women in metal because they picked another band with also a drummer and
Oh yeah, I love the song. They should do a cover with us with that song. 'Cause I love that song.
yes, that would be cool. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I see that it's true. It doesn't help women in metal at all when you see them presented like that. Just the vocalist of Baby Metal, I would say she's a really good singer.
She really is, yeah. And they do actually sing live.
Yeah.
A lot of idols don't. So
and also the dancing parts, they are very skilled. So they do a lot, but that's not how women want to be. We don't want people to say that that's our place, just to stand there and maybe sing, but please dance in a sexy outfit. So that's not what we want.
Yeah. I mean, I love an idol dress. I think they're adorable, but now I don't want to wear them anymore on stage because I don't want to go on stage, set up, and then everybody's like, oh, this is an idol band, you know, because I don't want to give people like the wrong expectations and stuff.
I see. And you said that you also sometimes play shows or kind of festivals with the idol group or with idol groups in general?
Is we play a lot with idol groups, which is why I'm kind of nervous to come on here because, like, I don't want to bash anyone. I don't mind idol groups at all. And, like, very much also, I don't know a lot of people, even though I'm in backstage areas a lot with idols. Sometimes I talk to them a lot, but they're very inside of their own things. But because we're a female vocalist band, we automatically get put together a lot because that's where the girls rock scene is right now in Japan. There's a lot of idols or people who are playing into the idol thing. So yeah, we play a lot with idols. It's changed a lot. For example, like play with an idol group, and then the people who would come to see the show would be people who are into rock and metal and harder music. And so it would be very beneficial for all of us because we would bring in different types of people and then their fans would become our fans and our fans would become their fans. In Japan, the system is a lot of the time you play like 5 or 6 groups together in one night and then you all play like 35 minute set. You all bring in your own followers and then, you know, they get to see new music and maybe discover something new and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So it used to be very much like that. And then for the last few years, I very much noticed that the people who come to see the rock idols are not rock fans anymore. They're idol fans. Even though they will stand and watch a show and kind of join in sometimes. It's very nice. There are Visual K fans are not that nice, I'm gonna say. It's very good that, like, you know, you paid a ticket, you're gonna watch the show and you're gonna like get what you can out of it, which is very nice and polite. But as soon as the group that they're there to see is finished, the first thing they do is they line up to get a Polaroid picture and talk to their favorite girly or boy, I guess. We don't play with a lot of boy idols, sadly. It's another different genre.
I think it's a bigger thing also for the girl idols.
They're there for that, and they're not really going to be interested in latching onto anything else, which again, you know, it's fine, but it is also kind of heartbreaking. After you're like, oh, we think we did a good job, and people seem to be really into it, and then they don't even talk to you at all because they're just in line the entire time to get 5 minutes to talk to their favorite girl, take a picture, which, you know, it's good for them. But
yeah, okay.
You know, that's kind of one of the reasons why I try to be like, I don't really want to play with idols a lot anymore, because also it's heartbreaking to see our staff at our booth just shouting their lungs out and being like, hello, hey, you know, trying to sell stuff.
It's also not helping you in the end if they are not paying that much attention.
No, exactly. In the end, it's not like a symbiotic relationship anymore.
I see. I wanted to ask you, or my colleague Susanna wanted to ask you about prejudice. I found the question very interesting because she also said that she met a Spanish guy in Brazil who wanted to travel there because he thought Brazilian women would run around there in this samba outfits all the time. And so she said when she thinks about Japanese women, she has this impression of what she gets from the animes and also video games, so that they are very infantilized and the school uniforms and everything. What I can say is when I traveled to Tokyo, there were a lot of women running around just like here in Europe, so normal clothes.
Yeah.
It's not that you see a lot of anime characters there.
No.
But what I found interesting, I also walked by a very big building, a big company, and they had an idol group there on stage. So out of nowhere, they had this concert in the middle of the day. So that was kind of interesting that they had this. So how much of this idol culture do you actually see on a normal day, so to speak?
These days it is really, really popular. So you see it a lot because maid cafes, for example, are really huge now.
Mhm.
Which is kind of adjacent in my opinion. It's very much the same outfit. Also, we now have like, what do you call it? Concept cafes, which is basically a maid cafe, only you have idols instead of maids.
Yeah.
Even though it's very similar, but it's not the same,
I also visited a maid cafe, and the first thing they said was also, or they had specific rules, and one of the rules were that you were not allowed to touch them, for example.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that also counts for.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that's it is helpful.
Yeah.
It's just that you need to have the rule though, which is kind of
Yes, it shouldn't be there, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the popular fashion right now is like very idol-esque, I guess. Some of the like Lolita brands that used to be known for selling Lolita now has completely pivoted to selling idol-ish clothes instead. Some people will say that that's the same thing, but it isn't. It is really popular. You see it a lot. And also because it's so popular, you see like a lot of idols on TV, on variety shows and stuff. But I mean, yeah, no, don't come to Japan and expect that all the women are idols. And also, there's a huge difference, obviously, between an idol at work and a person who's not at work, There's two different things. But I don't know if it's a cliche. I think this one is actually real. But idol contracts are super strict. You're not allowed to smoke, drink. You're not allowed to have a boyfriend or girlfriend. You are always on. You don't clock out.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was super dodgy, which I don't know how normal it is now. This kind of happened to me with my old band also. Like a lot of the companies, because they want to keep you controlled, you are not allowed to have a job outside of the allowance that they give you, for example. Which means that you don't have a lot of money. And so you can't, for example, like go out very much, which means that you're not going to do bad things and you're not going to get drunk and like hook up with a guy. It's kind of one of the ways that they keep you kind of controlled. There was like a thing on TV, an interview thing with a girl who was in some kind of idol group. And she was telling them how she, for 1 week on Monday, she used to buy curry so that she could make curry on Monday and then eat it for Monday and then eat it for Tuesday. And then for the next 2 days, she could buy bread and then eat curry on bread, what was left of the curry on bread. And then on Friday, she got to eat something else because she really didn't have a lot of money. And this is how she had to live. That's dodgy.
Do people know that also in Japan?
Yeah, they just talked about it on TV and it wasn't like, oh my God, how terrible. It was more like, isn't that funny?
Okay, I see.
Yeah. And also the whole thing with how strict the contracts are and stuff, they very much make pleas for that being a good thing. There's this drama about idols that I watched just a little bit of once with main characters in an idol group and then one of them did something bad. I don't remember what it was. Probably like kissed a boy or something or drinking alcohol. And then all of the other ones got really pissed. And it was presented in a way that you were supposed to be on their side because she had betrayed the honor of being an idol.
Drinking alcohol. Yeah.
Because she's supposed to be for the people. And obviously, this isn't real. It's a drama, which is a lot of times are very, very not realistic. But a lot of people do think that way when it comes to idols, because also it is a fantasy world, right? It's completely a fantasy world. So it's kind of like their anime characters in a way.
Yeah.
So there's also this super famous case. It's also way, way back. I think it's one of the girls from the AKB franchise. I don't know, because it's really old, but she got caught doing something and she had to, as an apology, shave her head and make a video where she apologized for, I think, smoking or something. And it's a lot, but also like this is a long time ago. I don't know if it would be.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. Also, it's one of the very big, super commercial groups and not necessarily like any of the kind of smaller ones that we see now. But they are very much like presented as characters, kind of.
You said before that many idols become porn stars, and you have also this comparison with the anime characters who are presented very sexy and very infantilized. So how sexualized are they actually? Is it a culture that is kind of normal? Because also when I think about Brazil and the samba dance, that's also part of the culture as well, but also sexualization of women. So what about sexism in general in Japan, and how sexualized are the idols, or also how sexualized is this system?
I think it really depends on the group, because different groups have different concepts and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But the general idea of an idol is not a costume that is very sexy necessarily,
Mhm.
because it's usually like a big frilly dress, right? Maybe it's a little bit short. And lately there's a lot of midriffs, but it's not, it's not really. I grew up in the 90s, so the midriff is not a super big deal to me. But of course, there are different genres of groups. There are these ones that do like bikini events, stuff like that and everything. But a lot of them are not. It's because talking to Japanese men, I'm in a car with 4 guys all the time in my band, obviously. So I hear the way that men think. And they like that you can almost see something, but not quite. And it's also like, so Japan is literally like obsessed with youth for some reason. That's why there's so many animes about people in high school.
Okay.
But for some reason, that is a huge thing here. So there is like a lot of the infantilization is a huge thing, but that's also just in general Japanese culture. I remember in my old band, we were watching one of the groups that we were performing with. And this is a super aha moment for me. Like, we were watching them and they were very propped up. They had a huge production. They had a bunch of things. But the dancing is kind of shit, right? So I don't necessarily K-pop either. But they are really fucking good at dancing and stuff. They look fucking cool, right? Idols don't look cool when they dance. They look like a little bit clumsy and a little bit like off place all of the time. So I thought it was weird when their whole production is so put together. Why is their dancing kind of shit? So my bass player who was there is like, no, that's on purpose. Because you're supposed to think that they're kind of bad because that's adorable and it's going to make you want to support them. And for me, I'm just like, oh, I don't like that. That was just like, oh, no, hell no. It says a lot about not all idol groups necessarily go for that. But there is like a thing about the dancing, the kinds of moves. Well, I would say baby metal does not do that. I would say they actually try to look cool most of the time. I think anyway.
Yeah.
This whole thing is like, it's cute when women are not super good at stuff.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
It's again infantilization, right?
Yeah, it's very infantilizing. Like, obviously, like if you're not good at something, I'm terrible at dancing. So if you think that that's appealing, then I'm happy about that, but I'm not doing it on purpose, you know? I wouldn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, infantilization it's big in the whole of Japanese culture, sadly. It's not just idol culture. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very upset about that. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Yeah, and it's also not only Japan. If you
No, obviously not.
look at the rest of the world, it's kind of the same almost everywhere. I would say I have a different impression of Finland. I don't know if that counts for the rest of North Europe, but I had the impression that they liked women in their late 20s, maybe, that there is not this hardcore infantilization, that they're not teenagers, but I would say that the attractive woman in Finland would be around 25 to 30 or something, which makes it a bit better.
I do get like the impression also, obviously I'm from Norway, so I don't know if it's just imagination now because I don't remember what Norway is like, but I feel like a sexy woman is an adult woman.
Yeah, right. That's what I was aiming for, yeah.
But we like when people are competent at stuff.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's hard when you're not good at things. Like for me, it's like, it's easier in Japan because I don't know something, which is all the time. I'll just be like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. And nobody's going to be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. They're going to be like, oh, let me help you. Which, you know, thank you. It's very helpful. Like, you know, that shouldn't necessarily be a point of appeal for anyone.
Yeah, right. But I would say that you're very skilled in singing, that you're a very good vocalist. So people out there should definitely listen to the Number Zero and your new album, Heartbreak DLC.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say about your band, about the topic that we just had, or just where people can find you on social media?
I think I said a lot. Like, I'm just gonna say it's okay to like what you like. I'm not hating on anybody. But yeah, if you wanna hear my band, we're on iTunes and Spotify. We're on YouTube and we're called The Number Zero.
We will also link that to the show notes. Thank you so much, Ingo, for being a guest again here in the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and sharing your impressions with us and your knowledge.
Yeah.
And people out there, thank you for listening and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.